Over the last several days, we've had a number of new announcements and reports about many of the automakers. Today, we'll go over Lucid's announcement of their Model Y competitor, a $48,000 mid-size electric crossover coming 2026. Hyundai apparently has plans to attack the US truck market with their planned Cybertruck competitor. Chinese electric vehicle maker Zeekr, which is controlled by Geely, revealed their ultra-fast charging LFP battery installed on their new 007 sedan. It's said to be able to add 300 miles of range in 15 minutes. Xiaomi SU7 sales in China had a very strong start, but it's now fading. Meanwhile, Tesla's again the best-selling luxury vehicle of any brand in China last week. All this while GM has reportedly began slashing jobs in China as its sales plummet, and Volkswagen just reported, yet again, they're delaying EV production on new models to 2032. Yes, 2032. I got Brian White joining us. Brian is a host of his own YouTube channel called FutureAza. He does much more deep dive reviews of all of these vehicles. He's been doing it for years. Thank you so much, Brian.
Wow, man. This normally I say, wow, what a great week it is for Tesla. But this week I'm curious how good the news is for anyone who isn't Tesla.
Yeah, this is the beautiful thing about this set of stories that just came out in the last 2 days here. Lots of stories about other automakers, how they're doing, most of them not doing well. And then there's good news about Tesla. So eventually it will catch up to them. So let's go through them. Here's a number of stories for vehicles. Lucid, let's start with that one. Apparently they're coming out with their Tesla Model Y competitor with a new mid-size electric crossover. That's due out in 2026. So this is what we know about it. So first of all, this is what it apparently looks like. Looks pretty good. I like it.
Yeah.
Looks decent as a car. It's a mid-size, $48,000. Right now they're calling it Project Mid-size. And the Air sedan goes well over 500 miles. Oh, that's
Yes.
the Air sedan
Yeah.
currently goes 500 miles on for a charger, further than any sales cars on sale right now. Wildly efficient, strikingly designed to boot. One thing companies had trouble with is making money. And then the Gravity, a full-size SUV, enters production later this year. That should open up Lucid to a new customer base. And that's what Peter Rawlinson, the CEO, is saying. Is we need to get to escape velocity with a lower price, smaller vehicle. And if you can sell a ton of cars, you can bring down your costs. Great. The Air is an extraordinary product, but Lucid only managed to sell 6,000 of them last year. It's expensive, large sedan. So this is the mid-size EV now. They're talking about this. They kind of haven't in a shroud yet. So I guess those photos we saw weren't exactly the right thing. And we don't know yet but what the name is, but it could be Lucid Earth, $48,000. So what do you think about this plan?
I got problems, of course. The first problem is 2026. That's a long time from now, and they do not have the cash to make it that far. Their runway is much shorter. It's only into 2025. Now, of course, we believe the Saudi sovereign fund will pump more money in between now and then. If they were conscientious of shareholder concerns, they would do it today. But while dilution is... while the stock price is higher than it's likely to be in a year. So they would be more dilution. Today's shareholders are in a worse position, and ramping a whole new mass-produced vehicle is going to be expensive. Just tooling for that is going to be expensive. It's not going to be another billion and a half injection. It's going to be 2.5, maybe even 3 billion. So I'm concerned for shareholders. Now let's talk about the $48,000 price point. That's a problem, because what they're trying to make is something that is a, compact SUV, a crossover, and it is. Ford is not able to build that car without luxury at $48,000 at a profit. So how on earth is Lucid going to do it? What they want to make is a very good crossover SUV that's also very competitively priced and also profitable and luxurious. My friends, you can't pick all of those. You're going to have to drop one or two, maybe even three of those factors. So we'll see. I'm hopeful, of course, for Lucid. I am not convinced that they are on the right path. And Peter appears to still be following in Tesla's footsteps. Tesla did this roadmap. We're going to do this roadmap, while forgetting that Tesla did not have to compete against Tesla.
Good to hear Lucid has got plans, but like you said, they may run out of money. I love your knowledge. It's great. Your deep dive knowledge on factories and production deliveries is always the best out there. And then, but you follow every one of these car makers, not just Tesla, by the way. Your channel, you guys, you could do all these other car companies, and that's why this is good to have you here. We're going to review a number more companies reporting. Here's Hyundai. So they want to get into the truck market in the US. And what they did was they tore down the Cybertruck. So very smart of them. I know that when I interviewed Corey Steuben of when he was still with Monroe and Associates, he was saying that Hyundai is the company to watch. They're doing great. So Hyundai, which includes Kia and Genesis, they had a record year in the US in 2023. Became the fourth largest automaker in the US. Now, what they want to do is they want to get into the US auto market, pickup trucks. So the full-size pickup truck accounted for 13.7% of new vehicle sales in June. They are much more sales than midsize or compact cars. And so apparently they tore down the Cybertruck last month, and the testing was complete on July 28th. Now they're making it a priority for them. They want to conquer the US market. Yeah. Plans to build 50,000 extended range electric vehicles per year starting 2029. So that's going to be one of them. And then Kia has been teasing its first pickup, the Tasman, ahead of its debut later this year. That's what the Kia looks like. I guess this one is not electric vehicle.
Not a hybrid. So the Kia Hyundai factory, it's a Hyundai factory, but they do share a lot of space and a lot of facilities. In the US is already almost complete. It's expected to be commissioned later this year. They're already training employees on the manufacturing process. If they can make a truck in the US, the big three should be on notice. This is a concern. I would say with this truck, the reason they're probably going hybrid is because the aero drag profile of a truck is brutal. It is hard to overcome, and batteries alone can leave many buyers disappointed in the range, especially if you add enough battery to overcome that. Then they become concerned with the weight. And a minute ago, we were talking about Lucid and how, well, the Air sedan is extreme efficiency. Surely that will get them to the next level. It'll get them partway there, but when you induce drag, like you would with a crossover SUV or a pickup truck, it's just really hard to overcome, which is why all the commercial vans we're seeing typically have a range in the 100 to 150 mile kind of range. So it's difficult. But this Hyundai announcement is kind of a big deal. And the good news for Tesla investors is if you're benchmarking a 2024 Cybertruck for your own product in 2026 or 7, you're going to always be chasing a moving target, and it's going to, you'll do all right, but we've seen their vehicles, the Ioniqs, the EV6s and whatnot, are great. They're compelling cars, but they're not as good as Tesla's yet.
Yeah, not good Teslas, but at least they're right up there. So they may survive. Hyundai's one of the companies to watch, I think. Yeah, copying Tesla Cybertruck is the right thing to do. And so at least they're doing it. Jeff Lutz says that they all do this, of course. So for some reason, this report showed that they've torn down the Cybertruck. They're all tearing down Cybertrucks. They're all tearing down the Tesla Model Ys. They're all doing it for each other. Even Tesla's tearing down other cars too, I'm sure.
Surely.
Maybe not, actually.
Maybe not, but at the very least, they might be buying the reports, which would be probably enough.
All right. Next car company is called Zeekr. Zeekr announced something pretty exciting. So this is a Chinese electric vehicle, and they do sell at the high end. So actually, Zeekr is a direct competitor in China with Tesla's Model Y there. They're, surprisingly, BYD, it's only a crossover, it's 15% crossover, but Zeekr is directly a competitor in Tesla Model Y in China. Zeekr is controlled by Geely. And so today, they showcased their new in-house designed ultra-fast charging LFP battery installed on its new 007 sedan. I'm going to go ahead and play the video here. Yeah, just take out the music a little bit. Gorgeous, eh? So
it is gorgeous.
They got a timer here in seconds, and then they sped it up, showing you that in 15 minutes, it can reach 300 miles, I think what it is. 300 plus miles of range in 15 minutes.
So, the first thing to note is that Geely is a huge company. The fact that most people in the US have not heard of it does not mean that it is not a big, serious company. It just means that our protectionist policies have been successful at keeping these cars out of our market. The thing with their batteries, because when I saw this claim a week or two ago, I went out and talked to all my regulars to find out who are they getting the batteries from? Where is this? Surely they're just buying the batteries. And the answer is no, they did their own in-house development, their own design. So even if someone else is making the batteries, it is their chemistry, it is their physics. So how can you make a battery that simply charges faster? Well, if you look at it, it's not charging that much faster. It's charging a little bit faster. These are not unbelievable claims. They are just a little bit better, which is in a lot of cases all it takes to win. It could be that the chemistry and the physics behind it is doing all the heavy lifting. It could be that they're uncorking a little, that they're sacrificing a little bit of longevity in order to charge faster for the rare occasions you need it. Right now, there are so few chargers in existence that could give them the kind of juice they need to charge in those times. And I've seen people complain, well, there's not enough chargers. Why even bother? Well, because if you have the cars, then you've got the motivation to build the charger. So they would, I assume, start like every charging network where they put them in the highest used corridors where people could actually take advantage of them and then expand from there. So if most of your cars are mostly using regular, level 2 charging or just some lower DC fast charging, periodically charging on one of these outrageous level 4 or 5 chargers, whatever you want to call it, would be not something that's necessarily going to kill the battery, and you could do it once in a while. So there's a combination of factors that make this all a very believable story. And again, like you and I have said a million times, we're just glad to see everyone pushing forward on all fronts.
And that's the main thing about electric vehicles and batteries. We're just at the beginning. Lithium ion batteries have fallen in price now. They're so much more affordable now, like 10 times cheaper than it was just several years ago. And so the technology will continue to improve quite quickly. So hearing this is not unusual. And of course, when you hear about it, you'll hear lots of battery improvements, but those are in the lab. So this is a company saying that I've got it in a car. I'm going to show you that I can produce it. And I'm sure Tesla will also continue to improve batteries. So what exactly did they announce? So 10 to 80% in 10 minutes, right? And that's a little bit faster than what we currently do, right? Most of us right now is 10 to 80%, and Tesla's in 15 minutes. That's 300 plus miles of range in 15 minutes. 472 kilowatt peak charging speed achieved in the video below. The new V3 fast chargers are rated for up to 800 kilowatt charging speeds, 75 kilowatt battery. So when you can charge this fast, maybe you don't need as big of a battery, but Zeekr said that the new battery can achieve the same charge performance, even negative 10 degrees Celsius. They'll begin deliveries of their 2025 007 sedan with this new battery starting next week. So it's live, it's here. The car starts at $30,000 US dollars. It looks fantastic, looks great. You were saying something about that they don't have as many chargers, though. That's the problem.
Well, the V3s are brand new. They didn't have a use for no one's had a use for those V3 chargers until recently. Very few vehicles could actually take advantage of them. And these are going to be sold primarily in China. There's not a lot of cars in China that are using, the 800 volt charging. So they'll come. It's China. They will, as soon as there is demand for something, it will be built. And there's demand for faster charging. So the cars are built, and now the cars will exist starting next week. And I would point out that when it says starting at 30,000, I don't know that the 30,000 one would be necessarily one that's capable of those kinds of charging speeds. It might be up optioned from there, if for no other reason than to segment the market a bit more. But these are I agree, it's a good looking car, and it's, even if you double the price, it's still competitive. So if it's up optioned at 60,000 US, they're still going to move some units.
And we'll show some data here that Tesla Model Y, Tesla's brand, is still #1 in China. So, surprisingly, Tesla is holding very strongly there despite this competition is coming. It sounds great. It looks great. And yet, for some reason, right, Tesla's still holding tight. They are still number one. We'll see how this continues. Here's you got another competitor in China called Xiaomi. They're a cell phone, mobile phone brand, almost like an Apple and Samsung. And then they decided to get into cars. Unlike Apple, they actually got into cars. They created an SU7. Their sales in China when they launched it 4 months ago, it went really bonkers. It was really good sales, but apparently it slowed down in July. I don't think a lot. You'll see this. You'll see the graph here. The SU7's sales ranking dropped from being the number 8 best-selling EV to number 10 in July. They got a lot of publicity at the time of launch. So you can see here, I think if you divide these numbers by 7 to be able to get kind of the, actually, I don't know what the exchange rate is now to get what US dollars would be.
It's very cheap. They shot under the Model 3 pricing on purpose because they're already losing money on every unit. They were able to do such a hot launch because they don't have a factory. GAIC builds the factory. I think it might be BAIC, but I think it's GAIC builds the cars. And basically you can go to them and just say, here's my tooling, make it happen, and they'll do it. But when you're losing money on every unit, there is a limit to how many you can sell. And they've got deep pockets, but they don't have infinitely deep pockets. So they do have to balance it out a bit that way. When it first came out, it's the new hotness. Everybody wants that. And then once it's out a bit, once your neighbor has one too, maybe they're not quite as cool. And it's not as good. I don't expect any first generation product to be as good as one that's got years of production heritage. So at that point, people start going, well, do I really want the extra flash or do I just want a better car? And I'm not saying that Xiaomi will not soon be a better car or maybe even the best car. We don't know. We can't predict the future. But it does manage to overcome one of the biggest obstacles these cars face, which is the in-car user experience, the UI, the interface itself. Xiaomi is a cell phone company. They know how to make a UI. They know how to make software that works. And that is one of their biggest advantages, apart from, of course, being able to lose money just to get your business.
Yeah. I've interviewed a number of people who are experts, or at least they know the China market very well. And what they've told me is that in China, the brands have been switching, right? Instead of luxury brands, which is people wanting the stitching and the leather, like my sister, she just really wants the luxury kind of experience, dials and everything on the screen. In China, it's moved over to tech. The more technology, the more features. And so somebody like a Xiaomi, right? Perfect company, software, like you said, if they can make an experience like Apple was trying to do, that has a good chance of succeeding.
Yeah. And Apple will not lose money on a product. That's why they had no choice but to stop. The SU7, they don't care if they lose whatever it takes. They were already going to be targeting right at the price of the Tesla competition. And at the last minute, they said, nope, we're going to go lower to increase our market presence. And that's something you just won't see from Apple.
Right. And because of, if you're a pure play EV maker and you're making these cars, but you don't have additional revenue, it's all losses. In this case, because they've got significant profits and from the mobile phone industry and other, those kind of electronics, they can keep going. Maybe that's how this works. So I'm going to test you to see how good your brand icon, knowing the brand icons. Okay. Yeah. So Tesla is still the #1 best-selling luxury vehicle brand of any brand in China last week. So this is 2024, August 5th to August 11th, and they tested to see the brands, luxury brands. Tesla's #1. So in China, they see that as #1. I'm shocked to see that Mercedes, this is Li Auto, Audi, BMW, that these still rank high. My understanding in China is that these are falling and they're falling fast. People don't want these German car manufacturers as much anymore. Their sales have fallen, but Li Auto is right up the top there. So what is this one?
I don't know. Polestar maybe?
Polestar, Geely maybe, I think. Yeah, maybe.
I'm not sure.
What's this one?
I don't know. It looks familiar though. It looks familiar. I don't know. This one? That one I definitely don't know.
Oh, okay. Lexus and Volvo.
of course, and Volvo, yeah.
So you failed.
I failed. I failed. Is it a failure of me, or is it the branding that's to blame?
There you go.
And really, it's that we're not exposed to these brands in the U.S.
Yeah. I think this is the GAIC one, the government funded one.
Yeah, maybe.
But that would be shocking if it is, because again, these are brands, right? Aspiration, luxury brands. So, which one is Zeekr?
I don't know. Let's find out. Zeekr brand.
Yeah,
Zeekr
go ahead and see who can.
Oh, that was Zeekr, the little split one.
Okay.
Number 7 there.
Number 7. Okay. Yeah.
And I could pretend I'm a genius and just read it off the page in Chinese, but I did not.
I know. All right. So that is, again, just sort of shocking and surprising. That's great to hear that Tesla is still number 1 in brand. They're viewed to be a great car. Of course, luxury. This is the luxury department. So,
well, if you look at the split between number 2 and number 1 on that's a significant gap.
It is, isn't it? Between number 1, which is us, and number 2 and others, it's much higher than everyone else. Yeah. And then, beyond this 5, the rest fall
real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could also mean that there's just not that many people selling, not vehicle makers selling at the luxury level. So AJ, we follow him quite closely. He does some great charts and analysis. He's projecting that he thinks that Tesla is going to deliver in China an all-time sales record for 2024, which is a little bit shocking because we just reported that while Tesla's China has been selling, their sales have skyrocketed, or not skyrocketed, but it jumped back up again. They're still 5,000 vehicles lower than it was last year. But his rationale is based on Tesla started the year strong and recently gained market share, right? There's no model transition this year, limiting product availability. Interesting. I guess kind of goes both ways. So if you were introducing the Model Y transition, then maybe they might slow down for a month or two. When that happens, it might be in 2025. And then you can see in the chart, which he'll show you shortly, Chinese market seasonality works almost like clockwork. The second half of the year is always stronger than the first half. So if they kind of stayed strong in the first half, then they have a chance to beat it in the second half. The Chinese EV market grows double digits year on year. Recent incentive hikes will ensure further accelerate growth. So it's apparently in China, they doubled the incentives. And then, this is the stat here. We just reported this 2 weeks ago. Gas cars is now below 50% of all new cars being sold. EVs, or new EVs, is now more than 50%, like 51% of all new cars sold. So it's likely the next 50% point decrease won't last 5 years. This would imply accelerated substitution of ICE vehicles with EVs and hybrids.
So let's start with they're 5,000 behind last year. 5,000. So let's say that's half a year. That's only like 30 cars a day extra you would need to build. That's basically a car an hour. If they can increase production by a car an hour, they're right back to 2023 numbers, which was their record year. Getting to 1.5 cars an hour means it's a record year. Getting to 1 car an hour and then 1 more car is a record year. So is it possible? Absolutely. And we know how Shanghai operates. They work very quickly, and everything they've done over the past since forever is to streamline operations there. When I do my forward-looking projections on all the factories' capacities, I always assume about a 1% efficiency over whatever its best term was. Unless they're down for retooling, the capacity is always increasing very slightly, incrementally. So the capacity is there, and it appears the demand is still there, and that's all you need.
What we're looking at here is total monthly vehicle sales in China, not just Tesla, all cars. And he's just pointing it out that if you look at any of the years between Q1 to Q4, here's what Q1 looks like. Here's what Q4 looks like. It always seasonality. Q4 is always much higher sales than Q1. And you can see here we are. So it's very likely that the next Q3, Q4 will go up based on the pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks, you gotta, people, it used to be a problem where the experts on social media would say, oh my gosh, look at this, it's the beginning of the quarter and numbers are so far down in Korea. Right. And it's right, because the ship hasn't arrived. We got to look at the wider trend, and that's what you just showed.
Gotcha. All right, let's take a look at Cybertruck. So people are thinking that Cybertruck sales have fallen. That's why, there was 1 million reservations, but they can't sell it. That's why they've now opened it up to anybody can just go and buy it. You don't need a reservation anymore. But they're not recognizing that this is the foundation model. We're talking 100 to 120,000. This foundation model wasn't even available to was not even the choice that they offered when they did the reservations. But if you look at, again, videos from Brad Sloan, and you look at photos from Joey Tegmeyer, you can see here that there's the production of these Cybertruck. This is a gorgeous photo. Look at all these in Giga Texas.
So I had a source at Giga Texas telling me that they were building parts of the Cybertruck on the Model Y line, which was impacting Model Y production, but also impacting Cybertruck production because they didn't have their dedicated high-speed capacity line that they were expecting. I didn't report that because it was a single source rumor, and I don't do that. But a few weeks ago, Joe Techmeyer's source was able to confirm it. Now we believe it's true. They are now on their own dedicated line. No parts of the Cybertruck are manufactured on the Model Y line, which frees up the Model Y line to either make more Model Ys or start considering the intermediate compact, which could be based on the Model Y. So that means that the Cybertruck is absolutely still ramping. It is getting faster. And if it is getting faster, which it appears to be, that means we need more demand. We need to sell more of them of the foundation variety at 100, 120,000, which is why they've opened it up in Canada and Mexico. The claims that, oh my gosh, they're out of demand. And I've seen that from some people still respect, saying, boy, I bet they're really thinking maybe they should have gone with a regular looking truck. The fact that people aren't buying it at 100,000 doesn't mean they don't want it. It means that 100,000 is a prohibitive price for a lot of buyers. What's going to happen, what I expect to happen, what I know a lot of people expect to happen is when the foundation series ends, they're going to drop it all the way to 80,000. And if they do, it's not 80, it's 72. You're telling me a 27, 28% decrease in price isn't going to kick demand into high gear? And for the people on the fence who can now order one, who are saying, you know what, no, I'm going to wait 2 months and get it then, you're going to the back of the line. It's just how it is. When the price drops, they'll say, okay, foundation's over. You're now invited to configure a regular edition one, starting with reservation number 1. And if you're at 1.5 million down the pipeline, it might be a few minutes, my friend.
Exactly. So this it's actually amazing how the demand for the $100,000, $120,000 vehicle is just skyrocketing. That, and so Tesla goes, why don't we sell more then? Right? If the demand fell, they wouldn't sell anymore, and they'd be getting themselves to profitability. And so far we've got the Cybertruck, apparently, according to Sawyer, generated close to $2 billion in revenue for Tesla so far this year. And they told us in the Q2 earnings report, the Cybertruck's on track to achieve profitability by the end of this year, 2024. So once they get profitability, they can start scaling and move faster. So really good. Things gone well. Okay, so it's not going well for General Motors. So they've reportedly started cutting jobs in China. They've begun reducing its workforce in China. They've let their partner SAIC know that they need to have a major structural overhaul of their operations in the region. And it's their acknowledgement that it's unlikely to achieve the peak sales figures it achieved in 2017. So this is, who's doing this? AJ. AJ goes, I predict that this would happen since GM's China business is in terminal decline. Attached, you'll find my deep dive on GM's China business. You can see the significant long-term downward trend recently starting to inflict losses in GM. Their uncompetitive product portfolio in China has virtually no chance to turn this situation around. The Chinese market recently turned more than 50% electrified, with the non-electrified vehicle market quickly shrinking. But their GM's EV products in China cannot compete. So
what are they going to do? They didn't say we're exiting the market. They said we're going to have a conversation about restructuring our place in the market, which to me means rebadging. hey, that's a
Yeah.
great car you've got there. Can you change the fenders on it and call it a GM? I
Yeah.
think that is how GM will continue into the future, just like how other brands were absorbed in the past, where things like Oldsmobile used to be its whole own car, and then they just started rebadging other GMs. This is what I expect to see. We can't make a car as good as what the Chinese partner has. We can't make it as cheap as what the Chinese partner has. Let's just slap a badge on it.
Yeah, a lot of the both European and American car companies are doing that. They go to China, they say, "You make the car, we'll put our badge on it." And some of them tried like this, and they're saying, "Yeah, we failed," and it's pretty clear that they have failed. It's now China and Tesla. Chinese brands are doing very well in China, so we'll see. Volkswagen, unfortunately, they are delaying their EV production and new models. They've delayed this Trinity SUV to 2032. I don't understand how it could take them this long. 2032, aiming to fix software issues and better allocate investments. Can this delay keep Volkswagen competitive? So Oliver Bloom explained that delaying production of EV models would help Volkswagen allocate investments better. And they'll also avoid the software issues that have plagued EV production in the past. So it sounds like they need to restart their software initiatives, because that's why else would you delay it from 2026 to 2032?
It's such a huge delay. It makes no sense. I love the upbeat optimism the author expressed with, can not releasing cars make them more competitive? No, it can't. That's not how it works. You guys are going to start the race now, but I'm going to rest and gather my energy. And when you guys are rounding the back of the field, I'm going to take off, and boy,
Yeah,
it's going to be great.
it's going to be great. All right. Well, great. A number of great stories of, I don't know, I can't remember how many brands we covered today, probably 7 or maybe. So thank you so much, Brian. Your knowledge is unmatched. If you want to know more about any of these car companies, he's done deep dives on many of them. Go check out his channel at FutureAza. Follow him on X as well. Thank you so much, Brian. Talk to you soon. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.